Hey everyone, it's Toki C, and in this video I'm going to be working on the characters and concepts of my own Disney princess movie. Except I'm not a professional writer or character designer, and I have no budget. I just have a tablet and a half-baked meme dream. Before I jump into character designs, which is always my favorite part, I first need to figure out the setting for the story. Traditionally, Disney princess movies are inspired by some sort of ethnic cultural background. Snow White was inspired by 16th century Germany and pulled from European folklore. Mulan by ancient Chinese culture and folklore. Even modern films like Encanto and Wish were inspired by the cultures of Colombia and the Mediterranean regions respectively. So first, I wanted to choose what culture I wanted the story to be ingrained in, and naturally, I decided to do my own culture. In case you don't know, while I am currently an American citizen, I am a naturalized immigrant and I moved to America when I was 14. So I was actually born and mostly raised on a small island in the Caribbean called Dominica. Not to be confused with the Dominican Republic. And once I decided on that, everything else kinda came naturally. So of course, the first design I tackled was the princess. Traditionally, Disney princesses tend to have what I recently found out is called a peasant dress or peasant outfit. Basically, the outfit they wear through most of the film when they're just another girl and not married to the prince or being given the fanciest dress by magical shenanigans. I don't think this distinction is really a thing anymore in the more recent films, but I wanted my Disney ripoff to pay homage to the Renaissance films as much as the more modern ones. I named this character Amara, and I decided to make her peasant outfit a basic jip. A jip is a type of cultural wear for girls and women in Dominica, but it's considered to be less formal. Actually, growing up, I would sometimes hear that jip were for girls and young women. Here's a picture of me as a toddler wearing one. And wapdouillet were for sophisticated older women since it was the more formal national dress. In my story, I imagine Amara to be a young adult woman somewhere between the age of 18 and 21, who had been orphaned and now bears the responsibility of raising her two younger siblings. But despite her seemingly quiet and reserved nature, she actually has a passion for performing. She specifically loves to sing, but she sings in such a way that she embodies a charismatic persona and never fails to captivate her audience. She works herself into the ground to keep hold of everything she loves. Along with spending time with and caring for her younger siblings, she has a job as a cook at a local restaurant, and she still tries to find time to go out to various stores, clubs, and other organizations to try to book gigs for herself. The times that she sings at these events should be when she's most tired and drained because they're always either really late at night or early in the morning, during those small windows of a break she can get from her otherwise hectic life. But she never is, because when she's doing her craft that she loves, all the stress and fatigue washes away, and in those minutes of performing, it's all worth it to her, even though she barely gets a decent check from any of her performances. And she's just happy that despite how difficult it is, she's still barely managing to keep pursuing what she loves while being able to stay with the people she loves. Until plot shenanigans happen, I guess. I haven't gotten that far yet. Let's not worry about that. Anyway, back to the physical design for now. The fabric used for her skirt and headscarf is madras cloth, which is often used in various color combinations as part of our cultural wear. And of course, we can't forget the jewelry. Even though this is supposed to be her peasant wear, I still gave her small bits of gold jewelry, because gold is definitely something that's very much a common part of our cultural adornments. I just kept them very simple. For her second design, which is supposed to be more akin to the iconic princess gowns, I dressed her in the wapdouillet. This is the more formal women's wear that I mentioned earlier. The wapdouillet was designed after the emancipation of the slaves in French Caribbean islands like Dominica. Newly freed African slaves drew inspiration from the large colonial gowns of 17th century French women, but decided to spice it up with the vibrant colors, gorgeous headpieces, and extravagant gold jewelry that was appreciated in their African heritage, as opposed to the single hue gowns with simple silver, glass, and pearl jewelry that their French European counterparts seem to prefer. And so, the Robe Douillet is seen as a beautiful mixture of the cultures that make up our French Caribbean heritage. Amara's princess dress also has a madras cloth pattern, and I made it primarily green in color as a nod to the Dominican flag, and also to symbolize Amara's growth and new sense of peace and balance in her life, as this would be the outfit that she wears at the end of the story with the completion of her character arc. That being said, her headpiece, I didn't fully realize how bad it was until I was already done and rewatching the time lapse, but it is so wonky and off-center, and it needed to be fixed. But I had so much more to draw for this video, and I just didn't want to use up more time, so yeah. And then I just drew some quick sketches of different expressions because doing that is kind of fun for me, and I wanted to. Okay, it's Prince time. I named him Ajani. Ajani is very similar to Amara. He is also a performer who lost his parents. But unlike Amara, Ajani is an only child and still had his grandmother in his life, who took up the mantle of looking after him. Since he still had a great caretaker, he wasn't concerned as much over his livelihood and was able to fully plunge himself into his dream. Even though he hasn't hit big yet, he's been steadily growing in his success. He is just handsome and confident and charming. I mean, look at that wink. Look at the wink. However, his grandma is getting older and seems to not be as capable of taking care of him, or even herself. And as Ajani has now gradually become her caretaker, he is realizing that he may have to make some tough decisions. The national wear for men in Dominica isn't as intentionally designed as the women's. Actually, growing up, most boys and men I'd see would have just a plain white button-down shirt with black trousers and a red sash tied through their belt loop. Maybe with a simple headpiece. But yeah, that was considered the traditional male attire. If a guy wanted to have a bit more color in his outfit, he'd maybe replace the white dress shirt with a madras dress shirt, or wear a madras vest or blazer, or they'd sew pieces of madras cloth into parts of their shirt. You know, there doesn't seem to be as much of a formal design for the men like there is for the women. So for Ajani, I just threw a madras vest over a white button down and gave him black trousers and the red sash through his belt loop. I made his madras primarily yellow to represent optimism and self-confidence, but also agitation and anxiety. I imagine his character to be someone who presents as very happy, positive, confident, and he's just supposed to be a sweetheart, but he can easily fall into patterns of anxiety-induced anger when he feels like life is challenging him a bit too much. For his end of story prince outfit, I gave him a madras blazer along with a bow tie and a more extravagant red sash. I thought the sash being larger and also extending up to his shoulder looked a lot more regal. I also made his blazer primarily green to match Amara's princess dress, while also symbolizing his character growth as well. I added a simple hat at the last minute because I remembered I gave Amara her extravagant headpiece that very much screamed regal to me, and I thought I should give him something. Like, the sash is supposed to be the regal aspect of his outfit, but him not having some sort of crown just seemed off to me, I guess. And now, the moment you've all probably been waiting for, the highlight of the classic Disney films, the ones who everyone loves even if they're not necessarily meant to be loved. The animal companions. I'm sorry, please don't click off the video. Don't click off. This was probably the most difficult part for me because I don't know how to design animal characters, or at least animal characters that aren't like anthropomorphic. So I just pulled up references of the animals and kind of just drew it in my style and called it a day. So I feel like I didn't really do much designing of anything. The first animal companion who is meant to accompany Ajani is Jacob the parrot. He is based on the red-necked Amazon parrot, which is usually referred to as the Jacko parrot in Dominica, which is why I named him Jacob. The jackal parrot is native to Dominica, and growing up, I always heard it being involved in conversations about the endangered native birds, alongside our national bird, the Cicero parrot, which I was originally going to base the animal companion on, but decided not to for no other reason than I personally thought the jackal parrot looked prettier. That's it. Anyway, like I said, I just looked at a reference of a jackal parrot and drew it in my cartoon style. And then I did these two other drawings trying to make him do a couple expressions to give him a bit of personality. But I don't think I really did that much with him. I don't know, maybe I need to make more animal characters that aren't little chibi bunnies. I don't know why I struggled so much with this. And then it got even worse with the next one. I made Amara's companion, the lesser Antillean iguana, which is also an endangered species. And again, I just found a reference and drew it. And that was it. I didn't even try to give him different expressions or anything. I think I was also just getting really tired after drawing all day. I casually referred to him as Iggy while I was drawing him, so maybe that could be his name. Yeah, this is probably the worst part of the video. I'm so sorry. Anyway, let's move on. Now, it's finally villain time, and I've made not one, but two villains, which I started regretting a little past halfway into drawing, because I was getting very tired. Anyway, I think I was inspired by what I'd heard regarding the original concept for the movie Wish, where there was apparently supposed to be an evil villain couple. What happened with this movie? I pulled from some of my island's spiritual folklore and based the villains off of Dominica's version of the Sukuya and Lugao. They were said to be people who sold their soul to the devil in exchange for the ability to do black magic. They would use this black magic to hurt people they despised, or to control and manipulate the people and the world around them to put themselves in positions of higher status. But there was a catch. In order to sustain their powers, they had to do something. These beings would shed their human skin at night before taking the form of a small ball of fire, which was often said to mimic the appearance of fireflies. And while in this tiny form, they would fly into people's houses while they slept, turn back into their skinless humanoid bodies, and suck the blood of innocent victims. The blood that they sucked would rejuvenate their magical powers. If they sucked too much blood, the victim would be at risk of dying, unless they were willing to sell their soul as well. Then they wouldn't die, they would just also join the Sukuya and Lugao. The constant shedding and donning of their skin would result in what looks like an unnatural accumulation of wrinkles, given the appearance of being elderly, regardless of how old they were. Most illustrative depiction of Sukuya in what I'll call their Nightwalker form show them as skinless humanoid beings with flaming hair and long claw-like nails. So I used that as inspiration for my depiction of them in that form. For their daytime look, I wanted to make them look young but old at the same time, because they are supposed to be a younger couple. I wanted them to be in like their late 20s, early 30s, but because of their secret lifestyle, they started developing the wrinkles in their skin so they look older. The styles of their outfits are still inspired by Dominica's national wear, but I made the colors darker, because villains. And I made the edges of the woman's dress have pointed frills instead of rounded ones, because villain. Also, I named them Adrian and Abaddon, because villain. Now, whether you believe in these kinds of folklore or not, that's not the point. Folklore usually exists for a reason, as some form of moral lesson or a cautionary tale that mirrors real-life happenings. With the tale of the Sukuya and Lugao, it was meant to warn against the act of forfeiting your moral integrity for the sake of power and status. Imagine this. There's a 35-year-old jerk that has always struggled to keep even just a part-time job because of his disgusting behavior, and he's now all of a sudden head of a well-known successful organization and rolling in dough, has bought a new house, and a bunch of the people who he would always talk crap about because he was envious of them are now suddenly living a life akin to the Bible's book of Job. And also, he's started aging like milk. Maybe that guy is a literal Lugao, just like the folklore story, who sold his soul to the devil and is using his powers to elevate himself and ruin everyone he sees as an enemy. Or maybe he's a figurative luau. Maybe he's still just a guy, but he did some terribly evil and shady stuff to quickly and unjustly get into a position of power and gain lots of money. Maybe he used the power that he gained through those shady means to wreak havoc upon the lives of those he envied and hated. Maybe he now seems a lot older because at the end of the day, he did a lot of messed up stuff that is weighing on his conscience no matter how much he tries to ignore it, and the built up stress is affecting his physical appearance. My point is, while I definitely don't have a fleshed out plot for this dollar store disaster of a Disney inspired story, I think I can at least figure out what direction I'd want the story to go based on the lore of my villain's origins. And I could have one of those good old Disney stories where there's a big overall moral lesson about keeping true to your integrity. Maybe Amara and Ajani are both given opportunities where they could become highly paid successful performers, but that would require them to abandon their family members who are currently in need of their care. Maybe one or both of them is offered the deal of becoming a powerful vampiric being like our villains. Maybe it's a life or death choice even. I don't know. I'm just designing characters right now. I might not even think about this anymore after I upload this video. So here's the final lineup. Let me know what you think about what I came up with. Is there anything you would change? Do you have any ideas for what the story could be? Leave a comment. I love reading them. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me. Also, if you like cute bunnies or cute stickers of bunnies, check out my online store. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one.